first Out of the Groove episode of 2019, and we've already got some hot, juicy rumors to talk about. How's it going, everybody? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove 2019. It's been a pretty slow couple weeks as far as NASCAR news is concerned, but I'm confident that's gonna change pretty quick here. As a result, I've had to dig deeper, look further for any possible NASCAR news that we can talk about on this show, and it just so happens I might have stumbled upon a gold mine. At least if you're a Matt Kenseth fan, or a Ford racing fan in any way, shape, or form, or just a fan of NASCAR moving into the future. I have something very interesting to talk about here in just a minute, but I want to start by briefly mentioning some Daniel Suarez news. According to this tweet from Adam Stern, Stewart-Haas Racing is set to make their announcement as to who's driving that 41 car early next week. So presumably just in the next few days, and it's expected that Daniel Suarez will drive that 41 car, with Eris being a sponsor for many of the races. Now this has been one of NASCAR's worst kept secrets for months now. We've basically known this since, I don't know, September, maybe earlier. But it's nice that it seems in just a few days we will finally have our confirmation that Daniel Suarez will stay in the Cup Series and will be going to another great team. I'll have more to say about that next week when the announcement is, probably made. So I'll save most of my thoughts until then. I've talked a lot about Daniel Suarez this offseason. He's been one of the final major silly season pieces to kind of fall, and it seems like now we're starting to finally get an idea as to where he's going to be, and it sounds like we finally have a confirmation on the horizon. So that's all well and good, but now I want to talk about the main story, the main rumor that I stumbled across yesterday that I think might perk some ears up. Just a couple weeks ago, I made an episode talking about an interview with Rick Hendrick, where Rick Hendrick said that when he steps down at Hendrick Motorsports, he plans on Jeff Gordon taking over his place. Jeff Gordon said some slightly contradicting things, so I talked about that in an episode. That was very interesting, but at the end of the day, it does sound like perhaps Jeff Gordon is going to have a major role at Hendrick Motorsports into the future. Well, now there are new rumors, or rumblings if you will, that another former NASCAR champion could be stepping into an ownership role sometime soon. I read about this yesterday, but thank you to Tim on Twitter for finding the actual clip from the SiriusXM radio show where John Roberts talks about this. The audio is a little awkward, it's a little scratchy, but yeah, John Roberts talking about Matt Kenseth and Roush Fenway Racing.
Here is something I heard, and Chalkett, I've heard it from a number of different people, but again, until we hear it from the horse's mouth or we hear it officially announced, it's not necessarily the case, but I think there's enough talk about this that it bodes us talking about, and also bodes very well for the future of the sport. We have heard rumblings that maybe there might be a similar situation going on as to Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick. It would be the Matt Kenseth, Jack Roush scenario, that perhaps Matt Kenseth, one of the smarter guys, better championship drivers over the years we've seen involved in the sport, may take an active role in ownership of Roush Fenway Racing. So if that were to be the case, I think that would be a really positive era for the sport, because when we do lose these great owners to retirement, we're going to have some pretty competent people to fill their shoes.
So there you have it. Rumors that Matt Kenseth, who has already announced he is not planning to race at all in 2019, could be stepping into some sort of ownership role over at Roush Fenway. Now that radio clip is one thing, but the report I read also suggested Matt Kenseth might be interested in becoming a minority owner at Roush Fenway, and then once Jack Roush himself ultimately retires in the next few years, Matt Kenseth could step into basically his position at the head of the team. Take all this with a grain of salt, but that's John Roberts, a person in the know on the NASCAR media side, claiming to have several sources talking about this. It's still just a rumor, it's not fact, not proven at any point, and I'll be honest, as a Matt Kenseth fan, I'm a little bit skeptical. I follow Matt Kenseth very closely. I've heard him say, in the last year that he's not super interested in owning a NASCAR team at any point. So hearing this report doesn't completely add up to me, but we'll see. I didn't expect Matt Kenseth to return to Roush Fenway this last year, but he did that. So Matt Kenseth might just have a change of heart. Now we have to remember that Jack Roush is 76 years old. He was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame just this last year. So his career, especially him showing up at the racetrack on a weekly basis, you gotta believe it's coming to an end. Matt Kenseth is 46 years old, and like John Roberts says in that clip there, is widely regarded as one of the smartest guys to drive a race car in the last 20 years. But I want to react to something else John Roberts says there about, Jeff Gordon perhaps stepping into a role at Hendrick Motorsports, and then of course Matt Kenseth possibly rumored now to step into a role at Roush Fenway. He makes a good point that with a lot of these older team owners, you look at the team owners in NASCAR, Rick Hendrick, he's pretty old, Joe Gibbs is old, Roger Penske is old, Jack Roush is ancient. With a lot of these historic, talented, powerful team owners eventually retiring in the coming future, future, we need competent and well-known and smart people to take over those positions. Jeff Gordon would be perfect over at Hendrick Motorsports, assuming that possibly works out. Matt Kenseth, I think, would be a great fit at Roush Fenway if that does work out. Tony Stewart over at Stewart-Haas Racing is doing an outstanding job already. It's important for the next kind of crop of big NASCAR owners to really understand the sport and know what they need to do to improve it. With Tony Stewart over at Stewart-Haas Racing, if Jeff Gordon goes to Hendrick in the next few years, and then if Matt Kenseth ends up at Roush, I mean, that's a pretty powerful big three right there. I hope this news is true because I think it would be great for the future of NASCAR as a sport, and also I'd love it as a Matt Kenseth fan because it would mean that Kenseth would be around the racetrack more, so I might get to see him a little more often. So overall, if this rumor comes true, I think it's a net positive all across the board. Take it with a grain of salt. It is a rumor. Remember, we also had reports a couple weeks ago about John Henry, who's already a partial owner over at Roush Fenway. He's interested in possibly buying a minority stake in NASCAR as a whole. So there's a lot of business decisions going on behind the scenes right now, and it sounds like some of the people over at Roush Fenway Racing are in the middle of them. So again, you heard the clip there on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Not sure what to make of it. I don't know if this is going to be a true thing. I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm skeptical because I've heard Matt Kenseth say before that he's not super interested in owning a team and that he doesn't really see himself hanging out at the racetrack unless he's driving. You know, both of those seem to kind of contradict this rumor that he's interested in owning Roush Fenway Racing at some point. Now, the reports of him possibly wanting to be a minority stake owner in Roush Fenway Racing make a little bit more sense to me because in that case, you know, you're not the head honcho. You can kind of still stay behind the scenes. You don't have to go to the track every week. You can just kind of, you know, do some smaller work behind the scenes, but still have a, you know, play a part in the team's success. I mean, that's the same situation Jeff Gordon's been in at Hendrick Motorsports for almost 20 years now. He's been a minority stake owner in the team, even during the years he drove for them. So we already know Matt Kenseth is likely going to still be working for Roush Fenway Racing now that he's semi-retired from driving. The idea of him being a partial owner at some point doesn't shock me too much. It's the idea that he could be the successor to Jack Roush, you know, as the head guy over there. That seems a little far out there, in my opinion, but I'd love it if it came true, and it sounds like there are rumblings around the NASCAR industry that could very well happen. We know Matt Kenseth and Jack Roush are pretty close. Jack Roush gave Matt Kenseth his big break in the Cup Series. They had some of their best years together. I can see it happening, but I don't know. Nothing like an unexpected and kind of crazy rumor to start out the new year. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Not a whole lot else to talk about. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot more to talk about next week with this Stewart-Haas Racing announcement coming. But in the meantime, that's all for me right now. Thank you guys so much for the support. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram if you want to continue the conversation over there. I also have my P.O. box down in the description. Send me cool NASCAR stuff. I'll be back in my apartment in just a few days. I'll go check out the mailbox and see what I've got, and I'll do a video maybe in the next week or two. So if you want to send me some cool NASCAR stuff, I'll shout you out and show it off in an upcoming video. Merchandise down there as well. Get yourself an Out of the Groove or a Double E Cup Series t-shirt. I'm going to try and have some new designs, maybe some new products coming soon, so keep an eye on that. And then, of course, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. Big shout out to Michael Harrison at GWiz of the Stars, SelfishGifts.com, Mentally Defective, Cameron James, Tice Moore, and the rest of these amazing supporters. Really, really appreciate the support you guys give me every single week, every single episode. I say it all the time, but I truly, truly mean it. Thank you. Really helps this show continue to grow. And gosh, it's all because of you guys. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know what you think about these rumors. You think they're possibly legit? You think it's a little too far-fetched? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you guys again probably next week. Have a good rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye-bye.